5-Minute Habits for Healthy Living. This week's habit is called Read a Book Unrelated to Your Profession for 30 minutes a day. Hello, this is Dr. Brian Morris, and welcome to 5-Minute Habits for Healthy Living, where you will learn the tools to practice a healthy lifestyle 5 minutes at a time. I've been practicing internal medicine for 20 years. I went to medical school at Johns Hopkins, I trained at Yale, and I previously held a teaching position at Harvard Medical School. I currently practice medicine and hold a teaching appointment at UCLA Medical School here in Los Angeles, where I teach these habits to medical students, house staff, doctors, and of course, to my patients. Before we get to this week's habit, I'd like to remind you that the information contained in this podcast and at 5minutemd.com is intended solely for educational purposes and should not be used to diagnose, treat, or prevent any health condition or illness. This information may not apply to a specific health situation and is not a substitute for medical care by a qualified, licensed, board-certified healthcare professional. Please consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your healthcare regimen. Life can get so busy. There's so much to do. Work life, home life. Doesn't it seem like there's fewer hours in the day now? The truth is that the length of the day has not changed, but how much we want to accomplish in those hours has risen dramatically. Smartphones, tablets, computers, they were all supposed to create more time for us. But instead, they've created more responsibilities, more things for us to do, emails, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and the list goes on and on. There's so much for us to do every day, and we're all so tired at the end of the day, racing to stay up to date with all of this. Many of the habits that we discuss on this podcast help us to combat the effects of modern-day stress. Proper sleep habits, proper exercise, proper relaxation for the mind, and many of the other habits discussed here are true antidotes for the body and the soul. In today's podcast, I'd like to review a habit that is very simple, but it has profound effects. The habit is this: take 30 minutes every day to read something unrelated to your work. The first thing to consider with this habit is that it is reading. It is not watching television. It is not surfing the net. It's not watching something on your tablet. It is reading, true reading. Why is that important? Because reading stimulates the brain in some very important ways. It feeds our creativity. It feeds our emotion. It feeds our imagination. Reading is in some ways a lost art, but one that is so important to our health, specifically the health of the mind. Think about what sorts of things you might read during your 30 minutes. Perhaps you can read about a hobby, sports, music, movies, fashion, cars, whatever your hobby might be. There's plenty of books to read. Fiction, nonfiction. Try to mix it up. Fiction is wonderful because it feeds our creative juices. It gets all the different sections of our brains working together. Nonfiction is also important because it feeds our thirst for knowledge. The key is to make this a daily habit, a 30-minute daily habit where we read something unrelated to our work. The key is to redirect our minds away from work and away from our family matters for at least 30 minutes once a day. Try it out. Spend some time putting together a reading list, a list of books that you'd like to read. Perhaps these are books that you've wanted to read for years. Now's the time. Get started today. In my family, we instituted this rule for our children, and it has worked wonders. They need to read some book every night for 30 minutes. I've been amazed how it calms them down. It calms their minds. It helps them relax after a long day at school or playing sports. It helps them to center themselves at the end of the day. And it's also incredibly helpful for adults as well. Make it a part of your routine to read a book unrelated to work for 30 minutes every night. Give it a try. Let's keep the dialogue going. Let me know what you think of this week's habit for healthy living. Post your comments and your experiences on the 5 Minute MD Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at Brian Morris MD, and visit us anytime on our website, 5minutemd.com. Let your friends and your family and your colleagues know about this podcast, and make sure that you are subscribed on iTunes. When you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, you will receive new podcast episodes as soon as they are posted. And if you're finding the information on this podcast helpful, we would really appreciate it if you would take a moment and stop by iTunes and leave us a review. Thank you so much for listening, and remember to make today count. I will see you at the next 5.